3 long questions. Let's go. The diagram shows trapezium ABCD. This is a trapezium. E is the point that lies on the straight line CD. As you can see, E is here. Alright, AD is 18x. So AD is the whole thing. We're not going to label that first. AB is 6y. We can label this AB. When you do vectors, don't forget your direction. This is 6y. And then AE is 5/9 AD. Again, we're not going to label this yet. So let's just label this as AE will be 5/9 AD. We can change that later. Which means ED is 4/9 AD. And finally, we have BC is 2/3 of AD. So BC here is 2/3, 2/3 AD as well. Okay, express AC in terms of x and y. AC. So when we want to find AC, this is the vector AC. Ruler. Alright, this is the vector AC. So how do we get AC? You can write down AC as, whenever we are doing this, you have to write it down as a sum of 2 other vectors, 2 or more other vectors. So because they want it in terms of x and y. So when we are looking for AC, we can use AB, BC. Or you could have used AD, DC. But in this case, we don't have any values for AD or DC. So we're going to use AC is equals to AB plus BC. So AB, we have 6y. That is 6y plus BC. Now BC, we have 2/3 AD. So we'll just write this down as 2/3. Now, AD was 18x. So 18x. Okay, so now we have to just work this out. Simplify this. So you get, normally we write x first before y. So this will be 12x. 2 times 6 plus 6y. So this is the vector AC in terms of x and y. Let's look at B. Point F lies inside the trapezium such that EF is equals to m plus 1 times AB. M is a constant. Express AF, this is a vector, in terms of x and y. M, x and y. Okay, first of all, when you see an equation like this, where one vector EF is equals to a constant, this is a constant, times another vector, this simply means that EF and AB are parallel. We are not going to use this fact in this question. This is just for revision. So now, when they want you to express AF, AF must equals to something in terms of M, X and Y. Now the only way you are going to incorporate M into this equation is if you use EF. Because EF is the only one that has M. So this is your first clue. You definitely need to use EF. So let's do the same thing as before. So now AF will be equals to AE plus EF. So AF, you start with A. AE, you end with F plus EF. Okay, so now let's try this in. AE is equals to, what was AE? AE is 5/9 AD. So 5/9 of AD. And what was AD? AD is 18x. So 5/9 times 18x plus EF. So EF, we're just going to use this whole thing. M plus 1 AB. So what was AB? AB here is 6y. So we're going to substitute this one here. 6y. So we're going to do that. So plus m plus 1 6y. Okay, so now let's simplify this. This is 2, so 10x. This is equals to 10x plus. So now we're going to write this as 6 m plus 1 y. We're going to leave it as a factor. You don't have to do, because that is the simplest form. Factorize it out. So we don't have to expand it. This is done. Now, find the value of m if points A, F and C are collinear. Okay. So this is a very common question when it comes to vectors. Collinear. What does collinear mean? Collinear means if 3 points are collinear, let's say we have A, F and C. Now, if 3 points are collinear, that means you could draw a line, a straight line that passes through all points. That's what it means. All 3 lie along the same line. Okay, so how to prove if it's collinear? We always use the concept of parallel vectors here. So if I take vector AF must be parallel to FC and AC if they are collinear. Because if they were not collinear, for example, if F was slightly off, it was not on the line, in this case, then AF would not be parallel to FC, which will not be parallel to AC. They will all be in different directions. But as long as they are collinear, all 3 must be parallel to each other. So what we normally use is, first of all, use one of the points here. So we have AF. Our choices are AF, FC and AC. Now by right you can use anything. Usually you choose the point that you have one of the vectors that you've already found earlier. So in this case we already found AF in terms of M. Because we want to find M. Remember, we need to find M. So M needs to be in the equation. So definitely we are using AF. So what's the second one that you choose? Choose N to N. AC. So we are going to say that if they are collinear, that means AF must equals to a constant, let's call it K, AC. Because AF is parallel to AC. We are using parallel vectors concept here. So AF is equals to, so what is AF? We just found this, 10x plus 6m plus 1y. Let's write that down. 10x plus 6m plus 1y equals to K AC. So what is AC? AC we've also found earlier. This is 12x plus 6y. 12x plus 6y. Now I'm just going to expand this out. So this will be 12kx plus 6ky. Okay, so what we must do here is there are 2 things. We want to find M. However, what we can do now is a comparison. We have left side equals to right side. This is equals to right side. So by comparison, the coefficient of the vector x must be the same and the coefficient of the vector y must be the same. So therefore, by comparison, 12k is equals to 10. This is equals to this. So therefore, you can get k is equals to 10 over 12, which is 5 over 6. Now once you find k, remember our goal is to find m. We can do the comparison for y vector as well. Therefore, 6m plus 1 equals to 6k. Now, we can eliminate 6, divide 6 on both sides. So, m plus 1 equals to k. M equals to k minus 1. And what is k? We just found k earlier, which is 5 over 6 minus 1. This is negative 1 over 6. Let's look at probability distribution. 3 out of 5 students in a class joined the computer club. If 7 students are selected at random, find the probability that. So first we have to figure out what kind of distribution is this. What is our random variable? Is this a binomial or normal distribution? Now in order to determine this, you look at one thing, look at the outcome. Is there only one outcome that can be considered a success and another that can be considered failure? That means, are there only 2 outcomes or is there a range? So if there are only 2 outcomes, it is binomial. And another way you can see this is, you look at your random variable. So we are looking at least 5 students. We are looking at countable variables. This variable, the number of students, can be counted. It is not a continuous variable. It is a discrete variable. Therefore, this is binomial. And so these are the 2 clues. So now, we have to first define x, define our random variable. What do you want x to be? So this depends on the question, the specific question. For example, look at the question A1. At least 5 students are computer club members. So we will always take this as success. Of course, this is not the only way. This is not the only way. If you're comfortable with the other way, go ahead. But generally, this is the easier way. So we are going to define X as number of students who joined the computer club. Number of students who are CC members. So we want at least 5 of this. So that means we want, before we go to that, we must define our success and failure. So based on X, success is number of students who join. That means success will be joined. So how many join? 3 out of 5. So what is the probability of joining? As 3 out of 5. And then what will failure be? Failure will be students who didn't join CC. So this will be 2 out of 5. Okay, so now we are ready to answer the question. At least 5 students join. That means we want the probability of X, the number of students who join, to be at least. So the word at least here means more than or equals to. More than or equals to 5. So more than or equals to 5. What are all the possible values of X here? We have out of 7 students. A total of 7 students are chosen. That means X can have possible values of, the number of students who are computer club members can have values of 0 to 7. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So we want the probability for X more than 5. That means we only take 6 or 7. But this is more than or equals to, which means we also need to include 5. So the total here will be the probability of X equals to 5. Could have been 5 students, could have been 6 students, and could have been 7 students. All fit this criteria. Okay, once we have this, we just have to apply the formula. So the formula is the probability of X is equals to R is equals to NCR multiplied by P to the power of R multiplied by Q to the power of N minus R. So we are just going to apply this for each and every one. For 5, for 6, and for 7. So they are all varying different values of R. So for the first one, this would be equals to, the first one is R is 5. And so N is the total number that we chose. So here the N is 7. 7 students are chosen at random. From there, take 5. So this will be 7. C, the R is, we take the first one, 5. Multiplied by success, we already defined earlier. Probability is 3 over 5 to the power of 5. And failure, 2 over 5 to the power of, okay, so this is N minus R. So we have 7 minus 5. Right, and then plus. Now, R is 6. So we repeat the same process. 7C6, 3 over 5 to the power of 6. And 2 over 5 to the power of 1. Plus R is 7. So 7C7. 3 over 5 to the power of 7 and 2 over 5 to the power of 0. 7 minus 7. So all you have to do is key this in your calculator. What you will get is, the answer you will get is 0.42. So this is the probability that at least 5 students are computer club members. And let's look at the next one. More than 2 students are not computer club members. So now we change our definition of the random variable. Now the random variable is not computer club members. So let's use Y. Y is equals to number of students who are not CC members. Okay. So now that we are looking at number of students who are not CC members, success is now 2 out of 5. Success is based on how we define the variable. So the easiest way to go is you define the variable based on the question. Now if you understand the other method, that is you maintain X as those who are CC members and then you know how to subtract, go ahead. But this is the most straightforward method. So now probability of success is 2 out of 5 because not CC members. Failure will be CC members, which is 3 out of 5. So from here, more than 2, we want more than 2. So we want probability of y more than 2. So when we take probability of y more than 2, from all our possible values of x, more than 2 would mean 3 to 7. Now, this is a lot. So instead of that, we can do 1 minus the probability of y less than or equals to 2. So what we are doing here is actually very simple. So x has values of 0 to 7. So does y. Because we are choosing from 7 students, there's a possibility of 7 of them not being club members. So here the answer that we are looking for is y is more than 2. More than 2 would mean this whole thing. So we have to do p equals to 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. Now instead of doing that, we can just do 1 minus this. So that's exactly what we are doing. 1 minus, this will be 1 minus in brackets. Please do not forget your brackets. Probability of x equals to 0. Please don't forget 0. Plus probability of x minus x equals to 1. Plus the probability of x equals to 2. This is what we are going to do. So now just apply 1 minus inside the bracket. So n is 7 again. 7c. So the first one is 0, 0. And then now success is 2 over 5. To the power of 0. That means 3 over 5 to the power of 7 minus 0, which is 7. And then you continue for 1. So 1 will be 7c1, 2 over 5 to the power of 1, and 3 over 5 to the power of 6, 7 minus 1. And then here we add for 2, 7c2, 2 over 5 to the power of 2, and 3 over 5 to the power of 7 minus 2, which is 5. And close bracket. So once again, just use your calculator. So the answer we get here is 0.58. Let's look at the second part. The mass of students in a class are normally distributed. So you can see the data that we are dealing with this time is mass. This is a continuous variable. It is not a discrete variable. So you can see it's normally distributed with a mean of 45 kg and standard deviation of 6 kg. So let's write that down first. X is distributed normally with a mean of 45 kg and a standard deviation of 6. Remember, when we write in this form, this is variance, not standard deviation. So we have to write square, 6 square, because variance is the square of standard deviation. So find the probability that the student has a mass between 43 and 56. So what we want to find here is the probability that the data x, we have already defined x. X is the mass. This is our data. This is our random variable, mass of students. So we want to find the probability that x is between, so more than or equals to 43, less than or equals to 56. So when we are looking at data that is normally distributed, when we want to find the probability, we use standard normal distribution. So first we have to convert to z-scores. So what are the z-scores here? The z-score formula to convert is z is equals to our data minus the mean of the data divided by standard deviation of data. This is the formula that we use to convert our x-scores into z-scores. So this is equals to the probability of, here we will get 43 minus the mean is 45 over standard deviation is 6. Please remember, this is standard deviation, not variance. So it's 6. And then here, once you've applied the formula as we have here, it is no more an x value. Now it becomes z value. And so we do the same thing to the other side as well. 56 minus 45 divided by 6. And so the values that we get inside here will be negative 0.333 and this will be 1.833. So you get your values of your z-score until the third decimal place, because that's what we're going to use from the standard normal distribution table. So now, once you come to this point, once you know what probability you want to find in terms of z-scores, then you sketch the graph. So when we sketch our standard normal distribution, the mean is 0. So you will get a bell curve that is exactly in the middle of the axis. So let's look at this. We want it to be between this value, negative. So negative will be here. It doesn't have to be accurate. This is just a sketch. So just put it on the negative side. You just need to know whether it's on the negative or the positive side. This is 1.833. So just put here. Again, it doesn't have to be accurate. This is just a sketch. So this is 1.833. Okay. So we want this area. This is the probability. Remember that the probability is the area, not the z-score. Probability is the area. So how do we get this area? This is actually equals to, so the whole thing, all the area under the graph is 1. So that means this will be 1 minus, so now we need to remove the areas that are not involved, that is here. So this area will be probability of, remember, area is probability. So probability of z more than 1.833. There's no more than or equals to here because we are including the value inside our probability, our original probability. You're including it in. So don't put more than or equals to here, just more than. And then minus this side, the other side, here. So this area will be, this is the probability of z less than negative 0.333. Okay, so now it's time to go and look at our data. It's time to look at the table. So what is the probability of z more than 1.833? Let's look at the table. So you take your ruler. Okay, 1.833. Remember our value is 1.833. So first you can see z-score here. Now you can see we have one column here, and then we have a set of values from 0 to 9, another set of values from 1 to 9 here. So what are these? This is the second decimal place, and this is the third decimal place. Okay, so 1.833. So here 1.8 will be here, second decimal place is 3, third decimal place is 3. So now we refer to the table. 1.8, go down to 1.8, which is here, and then 3. So 3 will be this value, 0.0336, and then the third decimal place is also 3. So 2. Now what is this 2? This 2 you will see in the table is already indicated to you. You must minus, you must subtract from here. So where do you place the 2? This is not minus 2. No. The 2 is actually counting from the back. It is the place from the back. So we actually just minus 0.0002. That's what we're doing. So we have to subtract this from this value. Alright. So actually what we get is 0.0334. So let's write that down. So this will be 1 minus 0.0334. And then now we have to find value of z less than negative 0.333. You have two problems here when you are referring to the z-score, because here if you just check your table at the bottom, they will clearly tell you that the area that is given to you from the table is on the right side. It is an upper tail probability. That means it has to be more than, cannot be less than. So if you find less than here, you will get the wrong value. So how do we find the same probability but more than? So this is the time to flip the graph. Now let's say we flipped the graph horizontally. What you will get is this. You will get a graph. This is, so negative 0.33 will become 0.333. So actually what we want to find now is this area to subtract, the area on the left of it. But when you flip it over, it becomes the area on the right. See, probability is the area. So as long as the area is the same, it is the same value for probability. So therefore, this is also equals to the probability of z greater than 0.333, positive 0.333. So the second problem earlier was that the z-score is a negative value. If you look at your table, you can clearly see all the z-scores are positive from 0 to 3. So now we've solved the problem. So this will be more than positive 0.333. So let's use the table again. So 0.333, we will take this. So we align our ruler here. Align the ruler here. 0.333. So we apply the same thing. 0.33 is 0.3707 minus 11. So once again, this 11 is at the end. This 11 is at the end here. So it's actually 0.0011. So 0.3707 minus 0.0011. So the value that you will get here, this is equals to minus 0.3696. So the answer for this question is 0.597. Given that 18% of the students have a mass of more than J, find the value of J. So they are telling you that the probability of X being more than J, if 18% of the students have a mass that is more than J, that means the probability would be 18 divided by 100. So 0.18. This is the probability of a student having a mass that is more than J. So this is 0.18. So now what do? We refer to the table. So when we want to refer to the table, because we have a value for the probability. So now we are going to do the other way around. Right? We already have the probability, but we want the Z score. So first we need to convert to Z score. That is probability of Z. Use the same formula. More than J minus the mean, which is 45, over the standard deviation, which was 6. Okay. This is equals to 0.18. So now 0.18 is the probability, is the area. We want to find the Z score that gives us a probability of 0.18. So now instead of looking for the Z score column, instead of looking at the Z score column, we need to look at the probability column and see which one will give us 0.18. So let's look for 0.18 here. So the closest value to 0.18 that is larger than 0.18. So if you notice, you will get here 0.1814. So remember, the values inside the table is the probability, is the area, is the probability, not the Z score. The Z score is only the first column and the first row. These are the components of the Z score. Everything else inside the table, all the data is probability. So this is what we are going to get. We want to get as close as possible. Remember, our target is 0.18. So we want to get as close as possible. So we know it has to be 0.91. Now we have to decide what we are going to subtract from this value. So we look at the subtraction part. You have 0.1814, which means we want to subtract 14. We have 0.1814 at the moment. We want to get 0.18. So the difference is 0.0014. That means, remember, this is counting from the back. So the third one we want to minus 14. But we don't have 14. We only have 13 or 15. So which should we use here? Now we have to look at the difference with the original value. So if we want 14, the difference between 13 and 14 is 1. The difference between 15 and 14 is also 1. Which means it doesn't really matter. You can use either one. Right? I'm going to choose this 13, which means 5. So what is the Z score that will give me 0.18? That would be 0.91. Let me erase everything else. Okay, so that would be 0.91 and 5. 0.915. This is the Z score that gives me a probability of 0.18, which means J minus 45 over 6 is equals to 0.915. This is the Z score. So now I can find the value of J. So J will be equals to 0.915 times 6 plus 45. And so the value that we get here is 50.49 kg. Let's look at index numbers. The table shows the price and price indices for 4 types of items used to make a toy car. So we have separate items, their prices in 2020, 2022, price index for 2022 based on 2020. So this is index of 2022 based on 2020. and their respective weightage. Let's look at the question. The price of item C increased by 22% from 2020 to 2022. What does this mean? If it increased by 20% from this year to this year, that means the index for the year 2022, based on 2020 is 100 plus 22, because it increased. Increase means with plus. If it decreased, then with minus. So if it increased by 22%, the index we do 100 plus 22, which is 122. Find the value of P, Q, R, and S. Okay. So here, let's look at P first. So P is here. So P is a price in 2022. And what do we have? We have the index and we have the price in 2020. So we use the formula, the basic formula for index, that is the index for 2022 based on 2020 would equals to the price in 2022 over the price in 2020 multiplied by 100. This is exactly what we're going to use. So we just substitute inside 107 P and 510. So 107, this is P, and the price in 2020 was 510 times 100. And so we're just going to solve this. P will be equals to 107 times 510 over 100. And so the value that you will get is 546. This is the value of P. Let's look for Q. So for Q, we have 720, and now we need to find R. We have two unknowns here, so we cannot apply that formula. But R is the price index of C for 2022 based on 2020. Now we've already found this, that is here. So this is R. R is equals to 122. Then now we can find Q. So we apply the same basic formula, 720 over Q. So 122 is equals to 720 over Q. This time Q is the base price times 100. And so once again, Q, we just solve 720 times 100 over 122, and the answer you get is 590. And then we found PQR. Now it's time to find S. So S is the index, the price index. So we use the same formula, 2.69, 2.35. So the index 2022 for 2022 based on 2020 for item D would be the new price 269 over the base price 235 times 100. Same formula. And so we would get 114.47. This is the index for item D for 2022 based on 2020. So we have found this is S. So we have found the values of P, Q, R, and S. So the next question would usually be calculate the composite index for the cost of making the toy car. So the toy car consists of items A, B, C, and D. So if we wanted the composite index for the price of the toy car, then that means what we are trying to do is we are going to get the composite index of all the indices of the individual items used to make the car, the toy car. So now we are going to do composite index. We need the composite index formula. And what is the composite index formula? I composite for 2022 based on 2020. This will be equals to the sum of the product of index and weightage. The index has to be of 2022 based on 2020 multiplied with the weightage over the sum of weightage. It looks very complicated. Actually, it's not. What is the product of index and weightage? Index times weightage. Index times weightage times plus everything together. This is the sum of the product of index and weightage divided by sum of weightage. What's the sum of weightage? Sum up all the weightage individually. So let's do this. I will do it here and transfer it to the bottom so you can see clearly what I'm doing. So this is equals to, composite index equals to 120 times 5 times the weightage plus 107, the next one, times 7 plus R, we've already found R earlier, R is 122 times 2 plus, now again, S we already found earlier, 114.47 times 4. This is the sum of the product of index and weightage over the sum of just weightage. So now we are going to divide the sum of just weightage. So add the weightage together. 5 plus 7 plus 2 plus 4. And so the composite index for the year 2022 based on 2020 is 113.94. So this is the composite index. Now, given that the cost of making the toy car increased by 15% from 2018 to 2020. So what does this represent? Cost of making the toy car, the whole toy car. That means we are saying that the composite index of 2022 based on 2018. 2022 based on 2018 increased by 15%. So again, we use the same method. 100 plus 15, which is 115. Now they ask you to calculate the composite index for the cost of making a toy car for the year 2020 based on 2018. So now what we are trying to find is the composite index for 2020 based on 2018. So in this case, you always look at all the indices that we already have, the composite indices. So we have 2022 over 2018, which is just given to us 115, and we have composite index for 2022 based on 2020, which is what we just found earlier, 113.94. Alright, so how do we find this? Now, there's an easy way, that is the ratio method, but I find that a lot of students still get confused with the ratio method. So I'm just going to show you another method that seems to be easier to digest. That's the chain rule. This is a simpler version of the chain rule. So all you have to do is you take the biggest number and the smallest number out of all the years. So look at the years. We have 3 numbers in the years. We have 2022, you have 2020, and you have 2018. These are the 3 years that we have from all our composite indices. So what you do is you put composite index of, you take the largest over the smallest. So 2022 based on 2018 equals to, okay, now what we are going to do is a chain rule. So how do we apply the chain rule here? Index of times index of. Okay, so what times what? So this is where we use the chain rule. The top number, you put it here. That was the biggest number. The smallest number, you put it here, 2018. So what is the missing space? Now, remember we had 3 years, 2020, 2018, 2022 and 2018 is already done. 2020 is what's left. Fill this in with 2020. And then divide by 100. That's all. You can use this formula. Alright. So if you need to repeat that, just rewind and watch it again. Now, all we have to do is apply this. So 2020 based on 2018, the value we have, that is 2022 based on 2018 is 115 equals to 2022 based on 2020, 113.94. This is what we want to find, composite index of 2020 based on 2018 over 100. So now we just rearrange, make it the subject. Composite index of 2020 based on 2018 will be equals to 115 multiplied with 100 over 113.94. And so the answer here is 100.93. If you've learned something from this, guys, please do me a favor and hit the like button. I really worked as fast as I can to get this out for you. So your paper is soon. I really wish you all the best.